I did.
You're fine. You're less than 15, that's a record.
Thank you.
We'll send an award. So thank you, folks.
Thank you so much for having us.
On the committee reports, ambulance.
Good evening. April report for the town of Shandaken ambulance. Total calls received was 33. Mutual aid was given twice to the town of Olive. Mutual aid was received twice by Olive First Aid. As Mother Nature is finally attempting to play nice with us and temperatures are rising, so increases the threat of brush and woods fires, just as our neighbors to the south right now. Remember that in 2009, outside controlled burning regulations changed in New York State for your own safety. As a reminder, burning household trash in burning barrels, burning leaves, and certain building materials are now prohibited. However, campfires less than 3 feet in height and 4 feet in length, small cooking fires, ceremonial bonfires, organic agricultural waste, and burning of smudge pots to prevent frost damage to crops are all permitted. You may also burn tree limbs with attached leaves after May 14th. But limbs must be smaller than 6 inches in diameter and no longer than 8 feet in length. To obtain a burn permit, go see Joyce at the town clerk's office. And for a complete list of the new regulations, please refer to the DEC's website at www.dec.ny.gov/regs/4261.html. Also be aware that those lovely disease vectors called ticks are showing up in drugstore area. As May is Ulster County Lyme Disease Awareness and Prevention Month, please be sure to protect and educate yourself and loved ones from these little critters the best you can, as they carry all sorts of lovely afflictions such as Lyme and Powassan virus. Check yourself and loved ones for ticks daily. If in high areas of tick populations, wear proper clothing and check even more frequently. If you find a tick, remove it as soon as possible, and if you're not comfortable removing it yourself, seek definitive medical care as soon as possible. Removal of a tick within 36 hours significantly reduces infection, and if any symptoms present following a bite, including rash or flu-like symptoms, please see a doctor. For more information, you can follow the website that's included in the bottom of this report. And stay safe. Thank you.
Police, sadly, Chief Story was due to be here tonight, but he was called off to the brush fire. I guess the brush fire in Sullivan has spread into southern Ulster County, so he was called down there to respond. So Tim, if you wouldn't mind reading.
Sure. All accidents, the monthly statistical report, April 2015. All accidents, 7. Incidents involving domestic animals, 2. Incidents involving real property, 17. Civil incidents, 32. Traffic incidents, 18. Crimes against public order, 1. Automated intrusion device calls, 5. Assault and related offenses, 0. Assisted fire department ambulance, 12. Theft, 3. Community-oriented policing, 0. Request for patrol, 7. Suspicious activity, 6. E911 calls, 4. Disputes, 10. Incidents involving warrants, none. Lost missing persons, 1. Narcotics, 2. And lost property, 1. For a total of 128. Summons issued, 48. Arrest, 8. And the vehicles, car number 83, put on 2,118 miles. Car number 84 put on 2,806 miles, and car number 86 miles were 1,210 for a total of 6,134 miles patrolled.
Rick, were all 10 of those disputes in your office?
No, but the rest were.
With that, we'll move on to Phoenicia Water. Alfred.
Been quiet this month, which is very nice. The fire hose is still connected, so they have water from the plant on High Street. As far as the survey is concerned, I think between you and Candace, it's been pretty amazing how much work has been done. She was like unstoppable. So we owe her a whole lot of gratitude. And next meeting, 6:30 on the 20th. And Rick wants to say something about the lack of rain.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to implement water restrictions because we have no source of water. 4 to 5 inches, we're below average right now. You had pictures of the Smith Reservoir where that compromise is, there's a 4-foot hole in it, so I can't have any volume, keep volume there, so my recovery for the springs plus the other springs that are out, if we don't get rain, it's gonna be, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we're gonna go through another debacle here. Now, I didn't want this, I wanted a concrete wall in there with rebar, so this way it would have held up when the force of the water. Now, they could fix that again, it's gonna do the same thing. But, you know, no one listened to me. Was out of the loop. So, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just want everybody to know that, because I'm gonna be the one getting the heat, nobody else. All right.
Rick, what's it gonna cost to fix that?
To fix the
way you.
well, to put that back, I don't know, but it's a waste of time, because every time you get heavy rains, it's gonna wash out. It's not gonna last. You have to put a concrete wall up with rebar in there. I was talking to the 3 DEC fellows that were up at my office Thursday, and we discussed this. But
And that would be allowable? Would they allow-
yeah, sure. Well, we have a right of way. We have
I know, but the concrete, that would be.
yeah, I see nothing. Kenny's putting fixing the right of way so we can drive up there. And I see that's the only way it's going to be done properly is to have the concrete.
Rick, do you know how much it was when Freddie went up there and fixed it a year or so ago?
Freddie,
Freddie Captain, the stonemason?
I know nothing about
We had the,
it.
an RFP on it, and there was 2 or 3 people that put in a bid on it.
You remember exactly how much it was?
I thought it was near 10,
Near 10,000?
yeah? As you said, there's a
Yeah.
4-foot hole in it?
Yeah.
Didn't you get the
Did
picture?
you get the pictures?
Yep, we got it.
Everybody got pictures.
Right, but there's the picture I saw looked like the pipe was open. Isn't that, wasn't that pipe plugged? I'll take a walk up there, it's turkey season, I'll take a walk up there and take a look at it.
I got it locked up there. I don't want anybody up
I
there.
can still walk up there.
I'm going to have people arrested if they go up there. Okay. Now, well, Vinny, this whole thing was when you had to take over my department instead of letting me do this.
The whole town board, not to get down, but the whole town board was involved in that RFP, and the RFP for the man going up there doing it was a unanimous decision by the board to fix that wall.
Yeah, fix it, but do it properly, not with laying stone on it.
That stone wall was there for decades and decades. Guy was there, been there since Mickey Simpson was a kid.
I'd suggest bringing it up at the water board meeting, and seeing if they want to get somebody to go up there to take a look at what it would take to get, I'm thinking about what it's going to take to get concrete up there.
Yeah.
And how much concrete you're going to need, so. Maybe get a couple of the contractors that are on your water board there and take a little hike up the hill, which
Yeah.
they'd enjoy.
All right.
And see what their thoughts are.
All right.
Rick, what's this stick in the ground, in the hole here doing?
It's just to demonstrate that it's.
Just to show
Just
us.
to show you
Yeah.
the hole there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody has those pictures, right?
Yeah.
Fine. Do you want a water restriction on then? Because Ellen's here, she can put it on.
Well, I'd like you to have, be cautious right now because of the,
So we try to tell people all the.
we're 4 or 5 inches down and, I don't know what, how long, we need a good rain, a good couple of rains.
Yeah.
We don't need them on the weekends, we could, but
Yeah.
this is what has to be. I mean, we're in trouble right
I'll
now.
meet up with you tomorrow, and we'll take a look and see what we got, and then we'll base something up. and see what
We
we
can
can
still
Yeah.
check for leaks, check for toilets.
Well, that's another thing, have everybody in that district, try to sound, if they hear any noise in their houses. We had a couple of them there, there was a noise, and I said, well, you should have called me on it. Well, we didn't know. Had another fellow, had a trailer, and it was froze all winter, and it was running. And I had said to him in the fall, make sure you shut that off. Oh, yeah. And all right.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Pine Hill Water, no reports. Museum? No report, bless you. Recreation, Marty?
Rayla Hart is busily working on organizing this summer's recreation program, which I think we all should be very proud of. It's a wonderful thing the town does. Letters will be going out next month, or well, at the end of this month, to all the families, encouraging children to get registered. You may recall that an organization called Tufts from Ontario High School visited Big Indian Park last, let's see, it must have been early fall, and they created a path down to the stream. They enjoyed that and asked to come back. They're looking to do community service projects, so they're going to be coming on May 27th and painting picnic benches in Big Indian Park, and if they have time, moving up to the parish field and painting some of the seating, picnic tables and Big Indian benches in the parish field. This summer, Big Indian Park is celebrating, I think it's its 35th anniversary. Mary Lou Stapleton and June Lamarca have formed a committee. They're planning a lot of neat stuff. I believe it's mid-August, the 13th of August. It's a Saturday. It should be a lot of fun. On a side note, not really parks, but about 5 years ago, we formed Big Indian Oliveria Beautification Committee, and we conducted our annual roadside pickup of trash. This past Saturday, we had about 20 volunteers. We picked up an estimated half a ton of garbage, over 40 garbage bags, and then we all got to reward ourselves with a lunch provided by the Peekaloos, so it was a lot of fun. And the petunias will be coming out from Big Indian pretty soon. So that's about it.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you guys on the beautification committee. I know it's an effort every year to try to get the super tunes going again, get everything cleared up. I also understand there was movement with the totem pole. The totem pole was moved. For those who don't know, the totem pole during the winter fell over. It's basically rotted at the bottom. It's been there, I think, almost a full 30 years. The beginning part's been there, maybe 25 of them. Put there by the scouts many years ago. But it fell off its base. It is currently off to the side to be refurbished. There was discussion this morning at the coffee shop about how to fix it. And scouts, we're hoping the scouts will be involved again. And,
I have talked to Nancy Holgate, and they are interested in doing it again. We just needed to get it in a spot where they could work on it. And John's done that. So.
Yeah, we need to thank John Michelotti for working with Bob Cal to move that totem pole off to the near where the pavilion is. It's in a safe spot, but accessible to whoever might come and help to repaint, restain it.
What about the Tufts, the kids that are going on the parade? Can they help with that too? Or is that a project they can get into? Or?
the totem pole is a little bit more complicated than picnic bench, so we were talking, there's some rot at the top of it too from water intrusion, so we need to figure out a way to seal it without affecting being able to paint the totem so it looks.
Well, I think it's a good, Tim, it's a good Boy Scout project. I mean,
Yeah.
It was the Boy Scouts who originally worked on that totem pole a number of years ago, so hopefully they'll be energized to bring it back to life.
With that, we'll move on to public comments and resolutions. comments, we have no motions. All the resolutions.
Resolution number 70-15, resolution to pay all bills. Whereas the Department of Audit and Control require town boards to sign and inspect all vouchers coming into the town for payment and to number and total amounts from each fund, therefore be it resolved that the town board authorize the following vouchers paid. General, $54,263.26. Highway, $35,088.63. Phoenicia Water, $14,318.44. Pine Hill Water, $2,715.59. Phoenicia Lights, $974.47. Chichester Lights, $139.50. Pine Hill Lights, $568.27. For a total of $108,068.16, and move its adoption.
I'll second it.
Board Member Bernstein?
Aye.
Board Member Higley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniel?
Yes.
Resolution 7115, standardizing health care contributions by employees. Whereas the town of Shandaken has in the past allowed different and varying levels of contribution for health care coverage offered to full-time employees and elected officials of the town, based on substantial differences in contractual language and multiple agreements and contracts for different departments throughout the town. And whereas the town, in an effort to standardize municipal costs of contributions across all departments for said health care, wishes to establish a standard contribution rate. And whereas the town does not wish to penalize long-term employees that currently use and contribute to the health care plan. And whereas the town also recognizes that standardization of the employee contribution rate would help the town in future, and ongoing budgetary estimates would help simplify calculating these costs for prospective and new employees and normalize rates between all employees in all departments from 2012-13 to today and forward. Now, therefore, be resolved that the town of Shandaken Town Board, through passage of this resolution, hereby notifies that any employee who currently has or was eligible for health care prior to January 1, 2012, continue under their current rates and contributions, but that any eligible employee hired after January 1st, 2012, or current employees who have not previously opted for town health care coverage prior to January 1, 2012, and any elected official whose term starts on or after January 1, 2012, shall be responsible for 25% of the cost of their selected health care coverage plan if they choose to use the coverage offered by the town. Be it further resolved that said rates shall not be retroactive and that these contribution rates shall be made effective as of June 1st, 2015 and continuing forward. And I move its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes.
Board Member Higley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniel?
Yes. Resolution 7215, appointment of municipal code officer. Whereas pursuant to town law, section 20 and section 138, and pursuant to sections 11663, 11664, and 7711 of the Code of Shandaken, municipal code officer in the town is responsible for the enforcement of zoning, floodplain administration, building ordinances, and rules and regulations. Therefore, be it resolved that Warren Tutt be appointed as municipal code officer to be paid $15 per hour, 25 to 30 hours per week, not to exceed an annual salary of $19,485 and mileage while on town business, and moves its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes.
Board Member Higley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniel?
Yes.
Resolution 7315, resolution adopting the following procedures and policies for the town of Shandaken for the procurement of goods and services necessary for the implementation of projects funded by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery of the New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Whereas in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy, the United States Congress, through public law, passed the Disaster Relief Appropriation Act of 2013, Public Law 113-2, approved January 29, 2013. As amended, the Act appropriating $16 billion, later reduced to $15.18 billion, to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. CDBG-DR, funds for necessary expenses related to disaster relief, long-term recovery, restoration of infrastructure, and housing of economic revitalization is in the most impacted and distressed areas resulting from a major disaster declared due to Superstorm Sandy, and other eligible events including Hurricane Irene and Tropical Storm Lee in calendar years 2011, 2012, and 2013, with storms subject to the federal status and regulation governing CDBG grants as modified by exception and waivers previously granted and which may hereafter be granted by HUD. And whereas pursuant to the CDBG-DR grant program and Federal Register Notice 78, Fed Register 14329, published March 5th, 2013, allocations, common applications, and alternative requirements for grantees receiving community development block grants, disaster recovery funds in response to Hurricane Sandy as amended. The state has received an allocation of CDBG-DR funds from HUD in the amount of $1,713,960,000. And whereas pursuant to CBDG-DR grant program and Federal Register Notice 78, Federal Regulation 69-104, entitled Second Allocation Waivers and Alternative Requirements for Grantees Receiving Community Development Block Grants, Disaster Recovery Funds in response to Hurricane Sandy, as amended, the state has received a a second allocation from CDBG-DR funds from HUD in the amount of $2,097,000,000. Pursuant to the CDBG grant and Federal Register Notice 79, Register 62-183, entitled Third Allocations Waiver and Alternative Requirements for Grantees Receiving Community Development Block Grants, Disaster Recovery Fund in response to Hurricane Sandy, as amended, the state has received a third allocation of CDBG-DR funds from HUD in the amount of $605 million, of which $185 million has been allocated towards the proposal development through the rebuild by design contemplation. And whereas the town of Shandaken has entered into a subrecipient agreement with the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery of the New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Shandaken on the town board on behalf of the town of Shandaken, should follow these policies and procedures in the procurement of goods and services necessary for the implementation of projects funded by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery and the New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Procurement procedures, the town of Shandaken will comply with the procurement standards required under the 24 CFR 8536 for all procurement activities utilizing CDBG-DR funds granted by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery of the New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Avoiding procurement of unnecessary or duplicative items or services. The director or supervisor of each department or agency of the town of Shandaken responsible for procurement of services, supplies, equipment, and construction obtained with federal, state, or local funds shall review all proposed procurements actions to avoid the purchase of unnecessary duplication items. Such reviews shall consider consolidation or breaking out to obtain a more economical purchase when determining appropriate by the director or supervisor. An analysis should be made of lease versus purchase alternatives and any other analysis to determine the most economical approach. Procurement and contract protest procedures. Any actual or prospective contractor may protest the solicitation or award of a contract for serious violations of the principle of this statement. Any protest against solicitations must be received by the due date for receipt of bids and proposed. Of any protest against the awards of contracts must be received within 10 calendar days and contact awards, or the protest will not be considered. All bids, protests shall be in writing submitted to purchasing agent and the town of Shandaken town clerk. The purchasing agent or the town of Shandaken town clerk may, at his or her discretion, suspend the procurement pending resolution of the protest if warranted by the facts presented. I move its adoption.
I'll second.
Wow.
Rob, Board Member Bernstein?
Yes.
Board Member Eagley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
You want to read it again? Storms? Yes. Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 74-15, a resolution to adopt a citizen participation plan as required under the New York State Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR program. Whereas the town of Shandaken is a subrecipient receiving New York State Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR funds as administered by the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, GOSR, to assist in addressing unmet needs from either Hurricane Irene, Tropical Storm Lee, or Superstorm Sandy. And whereas participation in the New York State Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR program requires the adoption and implementation of a citizen participation plan to comply with Section 508 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. And whereas the purpose of this plan is to provide for and encourage citizen participation with particular emphasis on participation by persons of low and moderate income who are residents of slum and blighted areas and of areas in which funds are proposed to be used. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town of Shandaken Town Board that the attached New York State Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, Citizen Participation Plan be hereby officially adopted for implementation in the Town of Shandaken's New York State CDBG-DR program. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes.
Board Member Eagley?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Shore?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. So the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, the acronym, it's called GOSR. I don't know if you know what GOSR is, but GOSR was the one that brought the Marshmallow Man in the Ghostbusters movie. So it's just funny.
Resolution 75-15, resolution appointing Pine Hill 2020 Visioning Committee. Whereas the town of Shandaken wishes to establish a committee to address current and future needs within the hamlet of Pine Hill. And whereas the town board of Shandaken recognizes the importance of public participation in these discussions and the vision of the current residents, business owners, homeowners, as to what they envision for the future of the hamlet. And whereas Peg Ellsworth, Executive Director from MARC Project, located in Margaretville, New York, has offered to provide guidance and direction for funding for any identified project to assist in the revitalization of the hamlet of Pine Hill. Therefore, be resolved, the Town of Shandaken Town Board formally recognizes the following as members of the Pine Hill 2020 Visioning Committee: Michael and Amelia Hedgeman, Valerie and Robert Kniffel, Bob Richie Stokes, Steve Witt, Jan Jaffe, Michael Boyer, Tony Janetti, Florence Hamling, Rusty Mae Moore, Neil Jocelyn, Molly Slater, Carol Chandler, Adam Turba, and Jim Nevin. Be it further resolved that Eric Hoffmeister, Kathy Jordan, Marty Gales, and Faye Storms be present at committee meetings to address questions or information needed from their respective departments within the town. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Bernstein?
I think this is a great committee here.